Hey everybody, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here. Obviously still traveling, but I've got some really interesting news for you right now. This is the search engine you didn't know you needed, but quite frankly, we really do. Now, this is coming from Wired, and I thought this was absolutely fantastic, and I absolutely love this. Now, every day, as you know, the companies that operate, our most expansive and vital infrastructure, think Google, Microsoft, Facebook, et cetera, are tracking our browsing habits and basically getting an absolute ton of data on us, which essentially is based on our search history, what pages we visit, all this kind of stuff. And we, just you and I, the ordinary average internet user, really don't have much idea which websites are collecting what data and then sending them to the Googles of the world. And so when you search for, let's say, something very controversial, potentially like where to get an abortion or something along those lines, is that sensitive data actually being tracked and collected? Yeah, it's very possible that it is. And think of another hot topic item that you may be searching on and going to websites to investigate for whatever reason. Now, tons of websites, and I mean, you can't even quantify it, or it's just basically taking this data and then sending all of this information about your web activity directly to the tech giants because they get paid for that privilege. And so this in and of itself isn't news. If you're a longtime listener, you've probably, heard me talk about this before. You've probably read about these things as well. But beyond that, it's, how difficult I think it is to quantify this. And we don't really understand the depths of where this goes, meaning the average person doesn't. And I think that's something that we need to talk about. But over the last 5 years or so, the EU and a lot of different U.S. states, because we don't have a formal federal law here, which we need, and other governments have started to enact laws that restrict this kind of data collection, transfer, all that kind of stuff. Think GDPR in the EU, CCPA in California, Shield in New York, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And every day these tech companies are violating these laws when the search engines, for example, and medical websites simply just ignore things like HIPAA compliance for patient privacy and allow the search logs of users' ailments to be tracked, documented, and monetized by Google, Facebook, and others. I've talked about this on the air. I've done videos and podcasts on this. I've written about this. This is a huge thing. And so by virtue of that, essentially this was a big issue. 100 of the top tier medical systems in the United States were all basically scraping this data. So you were going in for, I don't know, colonoscopy, something you wouldn't want to get out. And Facebook knows that, hey, you are going in for colonoscopy or whatever it is. And so by virtue of all of this mess, this is exactly why a former Google employee known as Tim Libert developed WebXray, which is now live. You can actually go there right now, WebXray, like EXRAY, WebXray.ai, not .com, WebXray.ai. Now, this is a search engine for basically rooting out specific privacy violations on the web. I've started to play with this, and quite frankly, it's really fascinating. Now, by searching for a specific term or website, you can then use WebXray to see what sites are tracking you and where all of that data goes. Now, the mission, according to Libert, is simple. Quote, I want to give privacy enforcers equal technology as privacy violators, end quote. And Tim, if I ever meet you, man, I'm buying you a beer. I think this is an absolute great idea. Now, I've been playing with this, and what's really interesting to me is when I go look up a website or I use a search term and all of that, it shows me sites that are relevant to this, and it shows me what kind of trackers, what kind of scraping and all of this. And what it does is it actually reminds me of the Brave browser. So if I go to one of these sites, Brave basically says, here's all the trackers and all the junk that we've essentially blocked, and I can go through and look at it to see what it's stripped, what it's blocked, what it's not allowing through. And I find that to be perfectly interesting because WebXray is simply aggregating that. And if you're a regulator anywhere in the world, this is the perfect tool that you need to see who's violating what. And so I think that this is going to be a pretty big thing, providing the regulators absolutely know about this. And quite frankly, we're going to help spread the word, right? So let your member of Congress or your member of parliament or wherever you live, let them know. And so with that, I'll leave it at that. But quite frankly, WebXray.ai is the search engine we all need that we didn't know about. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at Nick AESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.